Hello, my dear children. Namaste, and welcome to the next chapter of our Class 10 ICSE Biology. Yes, circulatory system. Time to get human physiology started. Of course, plant physiology does come sequentially before this, but then since most of you requested for this particular unit, I thought of getting started with this. And yes, as we know, sadly for many of us, or happily for many others, the chapter genetics has been deleted from the syllabus. You must be aware of it by now. So in case you're not familiar, you're not aware of that, the further reduction in ICSE, the latest syllabus, please do have a look at one of the live videos that I did very recently. So yes, two chapters have been deleted, genetics and reproductive system. Okay, so that means cell cycle and cell division, structure of chromosomes, and then comes circulatory system according to our channel's flow. Okay, so here we get started, and in case you're attending my session for the very first time, my name is Ambika and I am your biology master teacher right here on this absolutely amazing platform of Vedantu. Okay, let's move ahead, children. Yes, just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. Yes, in case at any point of time we do get a little demotivated, we do get a little, fed up of doing the same things over and over again, probably, just remind yourself, we are nearly there. Okay, we are just a few steps away from where we must be. Just hold on, just fight a little while longer because you are nearly there. And finally, remember, it's all going to be worth it at the end, especially for class 10 children, right? Even if things may seem a little difficult right now, within a few months, you will thank yourself. Okay, and with that, let's get started. Today, we are going to be learning about blood groups, and the mechanism of blood clotting. Okay, in no particular order, we are going to be covering all of these three concepts in today's session. So get ready, guys, and here we get started. Circulatory system in humans. Let us explore the world of blood and what the blood is made of. To get started, of course, there are three units for circulatory system in the human body. As we know, what does it do? It's basically the transport system of the human body. There are three major components: the fluid component, which is your blood, and there is lymph also. We'll be talking about that a little later, not in today's session. We'll be talking about the heart. We'll also be talking about the blood vessels, okay, which in association with the heart help in circulating the fluid component across all the major parts of our body. Okay, what first? Of course, blood. Today's VIP is mainly going to be blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. You've learnt it in your lower grades when you learnt the chapter tissues, right? It's a fluid connective tissue that performs several important functions in the body. It's not just there as a red colored viscous fluid, but it's there for a lot of important reasons. One major function is the transport of respiratory gases. Of course, what do you see here? This sac-like structure that you see in this diagram is a single alveolus, okay? Alveolus or alveoli in plural, which are the air sacs found in your lungs. There are so many blood capillaries which are richly supplied at the area of the alveoli. So what are they there for? If you can see, this is the alveoli. This is a blood capillary which is closely moving right outside the alveolar wall, and you can see that they exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide between each other. Okay, oxygen which you inhale diffuses through the alveolar wall and enters into the blood capillary, and in return, carbon dioxide which comes along with your blood in the capillary gets into your alveoli and you exhale it out. So blood is responsible for transport of respiratory gases, because from here it's going to take it to all the 40 trillion odd cells in your body. Okay, now another function, transport of nutrients in your digestive system. You've learned that final digestion happens in your small intestine, the inner wall of which is divided into villi and microvilli, right? Because of that, again, because it's richly supplied with blood capillaries, the nutrients can easily get absorbed by the microvilli and pass it into the blood which is flowing inside the blood capillaries, and from there the blood takes it to all the required target cells in your body. So transport of gases, transport of nutrients. Now what? Transport of excretory products, of course. All your cells carry out their respective functions, their respective biochemical functions. They, in that process, they utilize what they need and they give out what they don't need. Such waste products are carried by your blood and sent to the kidneys. Okay, so to the kidneys it takes it, and then from the kidneys, through the mechanism of urine formation, this blood gets filtered and all the unwanted waste from it gets filtered and removed, and it gets passed out of the body in the form of urine. Okay, and then what? Transport of hormones, of course. Endocrine system, right? We will be learning more about the endocrine system later, probably within the next 1 or 2 months. So what happens is, endocrine glands in your body, like your pituitary gland, hypothalamus, your thyroid gland, the pineal gland, the pancreas, the endocrine part of the pancreas, all of them secrete their respective hormones directly into the bloodstream. There is nothing specific like a tube or a duct which carries it to the target cell. Rather, blood is just acting as the carrier for these hormones. Hormones are released into the blood vessels or the blood capillaries, and they carry it to the target cell. There are receptor cells which would be receptor structures which would be there at the target cells to help receive the hormones. Okay, this is the basic outline of the functions or the role of blood. Now, what are the other functions? It also helps in regulating your body temperature, of course. It maintains water ion balance in the body. It also provides you with immunity. Yes, blood is absolutely an amazing fluid, as I told you, not just a random red colored viscous fluid. It's got a lot of important jobs to do inside your body. Okay, and with that, let's answer a few questions very, very quickly. Ready, guys? Stay on your toes and let's see who's going to be giving me the answers first. Nutrients are absorbed by blood from dash. Stomach, oral cavity, large intestine, small intestine. And your time is up. The answer is small intestine. Microvilli, remember, found in your small intestine. Next one. Dash are present on the surface of target cell which binds to hormone. Yes, what are present at the surface of the target cell to help receive the hormone or bind to the hormone? Golgi apparatus, microvilli, receptors, or none of these? Okay, and your time is up. The answer is receptors, absolutely. And dash is a fluid connective tissue of the body. Bone, cartilage, blood, tendon. Okay, and your time ends in 3, 2, 1. The answer is blood. The others are also connective tissues, children, but then they are not fluid connective tissues. So that's where the difference comes. So well done. I'm sure all of you have got this right. Even if you have not got all the 3 right, doesn't matter at all. We still have a lot of things coming up. Okay, children, but before we proceed further into the chapter, dive deeper into the more interesting concepts of the chapter, I have a few useful things to tell you, which will certainly benefit you. These are the problems which most children face today, because everything has been happening online. We were never used to this, right? We never thought that within the span of a few weeks or a few days, the world, the way we look at things, the way we communicate with each other, everything's going to change. We perhaps never even imagined that something like this is going to happen so soon. But not to worry. We completely understand that these are the problems which the student community commonly faces. Unanswered doubts, improper notes, tests and assignments, competitive exams like AVPY, NTSE or NEET, whatever it is, your choice of schedule, because maybe you have siblings at home who also have online classes exactly at the same time that you have, and perhaps you don't have different devices to share, different devices to attend classes independently at the same time. You perhaps have to share the same device, so that can be a challenge. Choice of language can be a problem for some of you, Hindi, English, or maybe you understand better in some different language, maybe your local language. All of these can be problems. But at Vedantu, we have ensured that Most of these, if not all, I think I would say 99.99% of all your major problems related to studies are solved as long as you guys are associated with us. Yes, and think of it, because Vedantu 9th and 10th English channel itself was launched because many of you guys, especially South Indian children, plus some children in the northern parts of India also wanted to understand concepts in English. Yes, this is what we do because there is a demand from your side. We come up with more things to help you out. And yes, in addition to these, we have a lot of bonuses also, including unlimited live classes, a lot of micro courses and crash courses, performance reports, personalized attention, and whatnot. Okay, so even if you have to brush up on your concepts, or rather study from scratch a certain concept or just a few concepts alone, and not your entire syllabus, we do have a lot of courses designed to help you out, maybe for a specific chapter and not an entire subject. Yes, micro courses are always here to your rescue, but then all of this together comes with a lot of benefits of their own. Okay, as a package we are giving it to you, and this is called Vedantu Pro. So, children, all you have to do is just visit vdnt.in/ytpro, and I'll just write that here for you so that you don't miss it out. vdnt.in/ytpro. Okay. Once you visit this link, you will get the option to choose your grade. So for you guys, mostly it's going to be grade 10. And then you have to select your target. So I'm assuming it's going to be ICSE 2021 for you. If not, select it accordingly. And then check out all the details. I've given you most of the details, but in addition to them, more bonus features which are there are all listed out here. Okay. Master teachers, along with class teachers, all of us are here to help monitor your progress. And then what? Yes, click on the button, get subscription. And then comes the question of pricing. Children, let me just tell you this. This is for your own benefit, because as a teacher and as a parent myself, I completely believe that there has to be something that has to be a balance of being pocket friendly or budget friendly, at the same time be useful to us in terms of concepts or whatever. All the technical benefits should be there. So yes, we come up with a 1 month plan of pro subscription, a 3 months plan, and a 6 months plan. A 1 month plan normally costs you 2,699. 1 month of subscription to Vedantu Pro, wherein in that one full month you have unlimited access to all these features that I have told you. Okay, children, and then now we are giving you an offer which is a coupon code AMBPRO. Just apply that and you would see that your amount payable reduces to 2,294.15. Children, how do you make out whether this is budget friendly, pocket friendly or not? All you have to do is check how many sessions you would be able to avail in this one full month of subscription. Divide this total amount payable by the total number of sessions, and of course consider all the other benefits which are also coming along with this. And this will give you a per session cost. I completely leave it to you to decide, but trust me, this is going to be worth it. 3 months of subscription. For 3 full months, you have unlimited access to all of these. Normally, it would have cost you 6,999 because that's how it's designed. But then, currently, for all our children, we are giving an offer of application of the coupon code AMBPRO, which reduces it to 5,949.15. Okay, children, and then for 6 months, if you want to be tension free for the next 6 months, here we go. Normally, the amount payable is 11,499 for the 6 full months of subscription, whereas the same coupon code AMBPRO reduces it to 9,774.15. Okay, I would suggest if you want to be tension free for the rest of this academic year, go ahead for the 6 months plan. But then I don't want to pressurize you. Of course, you have a lot of things to consider. So think about it yourself, talk to your siblings, talk to your parents, and decide what is best for you. Okay, vdnt.in/ytpro, and the coupon code is AMBPRO. Okay, children, and with that, let's move ahead. Yes, components of blood. I told you blood is going to be a VIP for today. What are going to be the components of blood? Of course, it's made up of 4 major components. Plasma is the fluid part of the blood. It makes up about 55% of everything in your blood. And then come the blood cells or the blood corpuscles as we call it. Okay? There are three major types of blood cells: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, or erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelets. Each of them in their own respective proportions, and each of them having their own set of functions also. Okay, I will be telling you what their roles are in detail. Okay, so let's get started with blood plasma. As I told you, it's the fluid part of the blood. It contains water, inorganic salts, proteins, and a lot of them. Proteins like albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, and all of them, which perform their respective functions. Plasma, what does it do? It helps transport gases, it transports nutrients, regulates body heat, and maintains the blood pH. Okay, all of these important functions, although they may seem minor when you look at it here, listed out among a lot of others, they are actually very, very major functions, and it is all because of the fluidy part of the blood, which we call blood plasma. Now, what do you see here, children? When you have to observe, like in a laboratory, if you have to observe your cells and plasma for whatever reason, either for experimental purposes or to observe the count of something or something like that, what you have to do is, what the lab technicians do is, they collect your blood sample and into tiny tubes which look like test tubes, very tiny tubes. They take the blood sample and they basically make it undergo centrifugation, which means it is getting spun. It spins at a very, very high speed. Okay, a lot of many, I have forgotten the exact number though, to be honest, but so many rotations per minute, there is a certain number for that. And finally, after that kind of a rotation, you would see that the components of your blood, which were there in the tube, have separated out into an upper clear portion, which is the blood plasma actually, and your cells get settled at the bottom of the tube. Okay, this is about the blood plasma and about all your other cellular elements which are there inside the blood plasma, which are your RBCs or erythrocytes. Remember, children, erythro in biology means red. Okay, leuco in biology always means white or transparent or translucent, but usually it refers to white. Okay, erythrocytes, normally there are about 5 to 6 million erythrocytes per microliter or mm cube of blood. Okay, there are a lot of RBCs. Basically, what do? They perform the very, very important function of oxygen and carbon dioxide transport. How do they manage to do this? These donut-like cells, if you look at them, you can't even see their nucleus. That is because a mature red blood cell does not have a nucleus. It loses its nucleus during its process of maturation. Why do you think so? There is a very good reason for this. What does it do, children? RBCs are performing the very important function of oxygen transport. So it has to ensure that it's designed in the best possible manner to make maximum space for oxygen. If that is the intention, it gives up even its nucleus from its cell. Okay? Even nucleus is considered to be a hindrance, and even that much of space, extra space, is valued to carry that much of extra oxygen. And it is inside the RBC that the pigment hemoglobin is present. Okay, hemoglobin is what binds to oxygen. Okay, it's a protein basically, and when hemoglobin is attached to oxygen, your blood appears deep red. That royal red color of your blood is seen in rich oxygenated blood. But if there is less oxygen, it turns a little bluish. Okay, when hemoglobin is detaching from oxygen, that is, it seems a little bluish in color. Okay, so this is about the RBCs. And do remember, children, RBCs have a lifespan of only about 120 days, after which new RBCs get formed. Okay, now coming to leukocytes or white blood cells, there are different types of them. Basophils, eosinophils, and neutrophils, which are granulated. As you can see, there are granules in their cytoplasm. There are also agranular WBCs like lymphocytes and monocytes, which have a very large nucleus. Okay, they each of them has a respective function. Basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes. Each of them has a specific function. We don't have to go into those details, but let's remember that overall, all your WBCs are involved in giving you immunity. They act as your body's defense mechanism, major defense mechanism, because they act like soldiers. They are like on guard all the time and there to fight all the germs which invade into your body. Okay, so how many WBCs would you find? Normally, per microliter of blood or per cube of blood, you would find about 5,000 to 10,000 WBCs overall. But yes, children, do remember, at the time of certain specific illnesses, for instance, certain specific infections, the count of one or a few of these leukocytes might become higher than normal. Because when your body has to fight infections, it tries and produces more and more of white blood cells. For example, when there are certain specific respiratory infections in your body, eosinophil count is said to go very high, which is why doctors, when they ask you to check, get your blood tested, they can check the count of each of these cells. If there is any abnormality in the count of the blood cells, they can perhaps pinpoint that, okay, this is the kind of infection that this person is suffering from. Okay, so this is about white blood cells, which are the soldiers of your body providing you with immunity. Then come your platelets. What are they? Platelets are also called thrombocytes. They are the VIPs when you have an injury in the body, because they help in blood clotting. There are about 250,000 to 400,000 platelets per microliter of your blood. Okay, in specific infections like the dengue fever, for instance, platelet count is said to become very, very low. It can, in severe cases, it can go as low as like 10,000, 11,000 and all of that. So in a blood test, it would reveal it and doctors can give treatment accordingly. Okay, how do the platelets perform this function of blood clotting? I'm assuming all of you know what a blood clot is, right? Even if it's a small wound or a small cut which comes on your skin because you got it scratched from somewhere, like by mistake, by chance. Within some time, although initially you may see fluidy blood coming out, within some time you may see that the blood has formed a clot and no more blood is oozing out. That is because of the blood clotting mechanism of platelets. Okay, so let's try and understand how it carries out this. Now, whenever there is a wound or an injury, at the site of the injury, the blood vessel obviously has gotten damaged. That is why you see blood oozing out, right? So at the site of the damaged blood vessel, platelets, or the thrombocytes as we call, they rush to that site. They are like, okay, we are on emergency duty now. We have to rush to the site of injury. And all of them rush there and they trigger the release of certain enzymes. They trigger the release of certain clotting factors, which in turn activate certain enzymes. It's actually a long process, but you just need to know the names of a few enzymes in this, children. The major ones of it I have mentioned here. The clotting factors activate an enzyme, an inactive enzyme called prothrombin, into its active form, thrombin. Okay, and then the enzyme thrombin, through its enzymatic activity, can convert something called fibrinogen, which is basically a glycoprotein which is there in the blood. It converts fibrinogen into insoluble fibrin, which acts like a net or a mesh. Okay, something like a gauzy mesh, like a net, so that the blood clot is ultimately formed. Okay, so the three major steps in mechanism of blood clotting are written here for you. The damaged blood vessel, what happens? It triggers the release of clotting factors. Secondly, formation of the platelet plug. I told you about it, right? Vasoconstriction, the blood vessel constricts. It limits blood flow. The platelets rush and they try and form a sticky plug, basically. And then the third step is development of the clot, the fibrin strands, which I have told you, and the background reactions, all of which I have explained to you, the major ones of which I've explained to you. They adhere to the plug to form an insoluble clot. And this is how they prevent more blood loss. Now, remember, children, if you recall in the last session of genetics, I told you guys about a disorder called hemophilia, right? So, hemophilia is a blood related disorder wherein the clotting factors, one of the major clotting factors, there are several of them, one of the major clotting factors is actually unable to be active, or it doesn't form basically. Because of this, a hemophilic patient's blood cannot carry out the blood clotting process normally, and there is unlimited loss of blood. Okay, now have a look at this situation, children. A car accident has occurred. The driver is hurt. People rush her to a nearby hospital, but then doctors notice that there's been bad loss of blood. Blood transfusion is absolutely necessary. What do you think would the next steps be? Okay, so when such a situation happens, we keep hearing about it in the news. Sometimes some of our loved ones, some of our family members or friends, somebody very close might also have experienced this, and it's a very, very tense situation, to be honest, when this happens. So obviously the first step has to be identification of the victim's blood group. Okay, blood groups, what exactly are they? They are complex chemical systems found on the surface of blood cells. We keep talking about blood group. What is your blood group? What is your blood group? Even in a driver's driving license, ideally the blood group should be mentioned. Okay, so if they don't have that kind of data available readily, obviously for emergency purposes, they will have to test the patient's blood group, right? Why is it so? Because matching groups have to be found for blood transfusion. So let's try and understand how these blood groups are named. You must have heard that there are 4 major blood groups: A, B, AB, and O. The names are given based on the type of antigens, okay, which are a type of glycoproteins which are present on the RBC. I told you what RBCs are, red blood cells, which are there in your blood. On the surface of these RBCs, in some people, there can be the presence of certain glycoproteins called antigens. In general, what is an antigen? It's any substance which can trigger an immune reaction. Okay, but then there are certain naturally occurring antigens in our body. Some of them are present on the surface of the RBC for some of us. Some of us don't have it. I'll tell you what it is. There are 2 major types of antigens associated with your blood system: A antigen and B antigen. There are some people on whose RBC surface A antigens would be found. As you can see in this case, A antigens are found, right? They belong to blood group A. If the person has B antigens, which is another type of antigen, on the surface of their red blood cells, they are said to belong to blood group B. Okay? Some people have both A and B antigens on the surface of their red blood cells. They are said to belong to AB blood group. There is also another category of people like me. I belong to the O blood group, where we don't have any antigens on the surface of our RBC. Just like the alphabet O, our RBCs are smooth. Okay, nothing, no antigen on the surface of our RBC. We belong to O blood group. Okay, no antigens. So yes, it's based on the antigen present in the red blood cell that blood groups are named. Now, what are antibodies? They are also called immunoglobulins. Okay, immunoglobulins. These are certain protective proteins produced by the immune system in response to the presence of a foreign substance. Generally, foreign substance is called antigens. Remember, I told you antigens in general are refer to any substance which can trigger an immune reaction. So anything, even the germs or anything like that which enters into your body, a foreign substance is called an antigen. Whereas, as I said, in some people's blood RBC, there can be certain naturally occurring antigens. If it's there in your own body, in a normal healthy individual, there shouldn't be any trigger of immune reaction against it. If it does happen, it's a dangerous situation. We call it autoimmune disorders if it's attacking your own body's antigens. Okay, so I just told you that for extra information. Where do you find antibodies? Antibodies are found in the blood plasma. And where do you find antigens? You find them on the surface of RBCs. What do? They recognize and bind to antigens to remove the antigens from the body, especially if they are foreign antigens. Okay, so this is what antibodies are there for. So have a look at this, children. Let's look at each blood group in detail now. We call this entire system ABO blood grouping system because there are four major blood groups, AB, and O. Together we call it the ABO system. Now, if you belong to the O blood group, say for instance you belong to A blood group, you have antigen A on your RBC, which means your blood plasma would have antibodies against the B antigen. Because in case B antigen enters into an A blood group's body, it's a foreign substance. Because A blood group people don't have it naturally in their body. So antibodies found in the plasma are anti-B antibodies if you belong to A blood group. Okay. Likewise, if you belong to the B blood group, your antigens are B antigens, whereas your blood plasma would contain anti-A antibodies because A antigens are a foreign substance to a B blood group person. Okay, this is why anti-A antibodies are found in a B blood group person. Imagine if an A blood group person had anti-A antibodies or a B blood group person had anti-B antibodies. What would have been the result? The anti-A antibodies here would have acted against the person's own antigens. Anti-B antibodies here would have acted against this person's own antigens. Yes, that is why our body is designed in this kind of a manner. Whatever is there in our body is recognized generally by a healthy body. Anything foreign which is not there in your body is recognized as an outsider, as an invader. And your body is prepared to act against it, which is why you have anti-B and anti-A respectively. Okay, now what if you had both A and B antigens on your red blood cells, like people who belong to AB blood group? You wouldn't have either anti-A or anti-B antibodies in your blood because even one of them is enough to trigger an immune response. It can attack your own blood cells, right? So only antigens in the case of AB blood group. In the case of O blood group, what do you think? There are no antigens. As I told you, the surface of RBC is very smooth, just like the letter O. Obviously, we would have both anti-A and anti-B antibodies because A and B are not recognized by our body as our own. They are both foreign as far as an O group's blood is concerned. Okay, so this is about the ABO blood group system, and how do you get it? It's basically inherited. Your blood groups are inherited from your parents. It's a very, very interesting thing, children. If time permits, at some point of time, I would love to give you a quick video, make a quick video on that also. But currently, as it's not part of the syllabus, let's not focus too much on that. Now, there is also a system in addition to the ABO system called RH system. RH, which is rhesus factor. It is an inherited protein found on the surface of red blood cells. In addition to antigens which are present on the RBCs for some people, or many people rather, also have something called the RH factor, which is also a protein on the surface of RBCs. Now, there is nothing to be confused about here. A person can either be RH positive or be RH negative. You are RH positive if you have the RH antigen present on the surface of your red blood cells. If you don't have the RH protein on your red blood cells, you are said to be RH negative. Okay, so when I say my blood group is O positive, I mean that O group, you know what it is. I don't have A antigens, I don't have B antigens, which means I have both anti-A and anti-B antibodies. And because I belong to an O positive group, I also have the RH factor on my red blood cells. Not I also have, rather RH would be the only factor that I have on my red blood cells. I don't have A and B. Okay, likewise, for an O negative person, there would be nothing. No A antigens, no B antigens, no RH factor on the surface of RBCs, which means O negative people, because they have no antigens on their bodies, on their RBC surface, they are said to be universal donors. Why do you think so? When an O negative blood group enters into the body of a person with, say for instance, A blood group, what do you think the A blood group's blood would recognize it as? Okay, O negative blood group blood has entered this person's body. It looks for antigens. Does the O negative person's blood have any antigens? Not at all. It doesn't have A antigens, it doesn't have B antigens, it doesn't even have the Rh protein on its Rh factor on its surface. So the A positive recipient's blood says that okay, this is safe. There are no antigens, so we have nothing to act against. This is why O negative is considered to be universal donor, because this blood can safely be donated to any recipient, any blood group. But if you transfuse O positive blood group to an A negative person, what do you think would happen? Because the person is A negative and doesn't, the host, I'm saying, doesn't have the Rh factor on his or her blood surface. The Rh factor in the, okay, I'm talking about an O positive donor, okay, and an A negative recipient. Okay. Of course, O positive person would mean no A and B antigens on the surface. So that is fine. But the recipient's blood recognizes the Rh factor as a positive substance in the body. And because of that, because the person is negative, this person, recipient, is devoid of the Rh factor. And because of that, the recipient's blood can form antibodies against the Rh factor, and it can lead to serious issues. Okay, so this is why blood group has to be identified. This is exactly what we talk about when we say blood compatibility has to be there as far as blood transfusions are concerned. Very, very important. Likewise, which group do you think would be the universal recipient? Universal donor is O negative. So universal recipient would be which blood group? What are the criteria for a blood group to be called universal recipient? Universal recipient should mean that he or she is able to receive any blood group without triggering any immune reaction in his or her own body. It has to be AB positive, because AB positive person has A antigens on their surface, okay, B antigens on their surface. They also have the Rh factor on their surface, which means antibodies in such a recipient's body will not be formed against A antigen, B antigen, or the Rh factor. And that means they are safe to receive any blood group. So they are called universal recipients. Okay? Yes. So this is about universal donor and universal recipient. And here is the compatibility table summarized for you. O negative can donate to all. Yes, as I said. Okay, but it receives only from O negative. That is one issue with O negative people. In general, children, in the human population as a whole, there are said to be more of Rh positive people than Rh negative people, which is why when a person has a negative blood group, the family members get a little scared, because at the time of any emergency, it can be a little difficult to find a similar donor. But then these days, I think it's not too much of a problem, considering that there are a lot of blood donation groups and camps and all of that, which do a wonderful job of enough collection of samples. Okay, and yes, O positive can donate to all this, receives from these. You can just go through this whenever you want. AB positive, as I said, it gives to only AB positive, but it can receive from all. So universal donor and universal recipient, respectively. Okay, and that brings us to the end, children. Let's quickly check our understanding. The most common type of blood grouping used in human is ABO system, MNS system, Kell system, Lewis system. Super easy, I'm sure. And your time is up, children. The answer is ABO system. Absolutely. Dash is used to detect foreign body in humans. Antigen, antibody, RBC, none of these. Read the question carefully. Which of these has the ability to detect foreign body in humans? And your time is up. The answer is antibody, which is found in your blood plasma. Now, a person with blood group A has dash antibody in them. Blood group A has dash antibody in them. Is it anti-A antibody, anti-B antibody? Is it both A and B, or none of these? And your time is up, children. The answer is anti-B antibodies, of course. Now, universal recipient is who among these? AB positive, AB negative, O positive, or O negative? And your time is up. The answer is A, B positive, and O negative is the universal donor. Do keep that in mind. Okay, well done. Very, very well done. If you have got all of the answers correct. And thank you very much for participating actively. Do remember, children, to visit vdnt.in/YTPRO, and the coupon code is AMBPRO. Okay, so make the best use of it. And let me remind you, you now know about blood groups, and the mechanism of blood clotting. And yes, let me give you the homework for today. Where is the term RH used for RH blood grouping derived from? I told you what is the meaning of A, B, O blood group. But when I say RH factor, where is it derived from? How did they come up with that name? I would like to hear the answers from you all. Let's see who's coming up with the first answer and the best answer. Okay, children, and if you have enjoyed this session, please do remember to hit the like button right now, because otherwise there's no chance that I would know that you have enjoyed it, right? And please do share it with all your friends, your class 10 ICSE friends, your class 10 CBSE friends, as well as your NEET aspirant friends, because I'm sure this will benefit all of them. Basic concepts which everyone must understand. And yes, in case you haven't subscribed to our very, very interesting channel, Vedantu 9th and 10th English, please do hit the subscribe button right now, and of course the bell icon right next to it, because every single day we keep coming up with a lot of more and more interesting content just for you. Yes, and until we meet again, this is Ambika signing off. Take care, stay happy, and stay healthy. Bye bye.